I went off and just went crazy and went wild, just was, being reckless.
What Justin Bieber just revealed in court has left everyone reeling. His testimony is shaking the courtroom to its core. In a move that no one saw coming, Bieber has taken the stand against Diddy, and what he's saying is beyond chilling. Bieber claims he was forced into situations that he can't even talk about without breaking down. Word on the street is that his testimony was raw, emotional, and devastating for Diddy. So, what exactly did Justin reveal? And how deep does this whole mess go? Let's break it all down. The internet is completely losing it after Diddy's arrest in September 2024, and we're not talking about some minor allegations here. We're talking serious federal charges, including sex trafficking, racketeering, and transportation for prostitution. Almost instantly, fans started connecting the dots, diving deep into Diddy's past relationships. And one name keeps popping up: Justin Bieber. Back when Bieber was just stepping into the spotlight, Diddy took him under his wing. This entire saga has been giving main character energy across TikTok, Twitter, and literally every T-channel on YouTube. But before we get swept up in the hype, let's make sure we're separating fact from fiction and get to the real tea. Here's the timeline. Diddy was arrested in September 2024, facing some of the most serious charges you can imagine. Federal charges, people, racketeering, sex trafficking, and, in one of the most jaw-dropping moments, transportation for prostitution. This isn't your average cancel culture drama. These are federal indictments we're talking about. Naturally, the internet did what it does best: deep dived into Diddy's past relationships, especially the one between him and a young Justin Bieber. Bieber was just a teen when Diddy had him under his wing from 2009 to 2011, and now, in light of these recent allegations, people are looking back at those years with fresh eyes. The real bombshell, the videos, those old clips of Diddy with Baby Bieber are suddenly blowing up in the worst way possible. They're being watched over and over again, and each time the vibe is getting creepier. Everyone's watching with major side-eye. The most uncomfortable clip? A video from 2009, titled Justin Bieber's 48 HRS with Diddy. The video was posted on Bieber's own YouTube channel, and it shows Diddy claiming to have custody of a 15-year-old Bieber for 2 full days. 2 days. They talk about going buck wild while Bieber mentions wanting to get some girls. Yeah, you can imagine how that's playing out now. The comment section is absolutely dragging Diddy, pointing out how creepy and inappropriate this looks in hindsight. Now, keep in mind, Diddy had been trying to get close to Bieber for a while, but Bieber's management wasn't having it. That is, until Usher took over and put Diddy in a position of temporary guardianship for those 48 hours. Let that sink in for a second. Temporary guardianship. Then there's that infamous Jimmy Kimmel Live appearance from 2011 that's making people see red flags everywhere. In that clip, Diddy straight up tells Bieber not to spill the beans about the things they do together, warning him not to talk about it on national television. The comment section lost it, and Twitter erupted with questions. What exactly was going on between them behind closed doors? Fast forward to 2010, and another unsettling clip surfaces. Diddy, clearly in his villain era, gives Bieber a bad boy Letterman jacket while grilling him about why they haven't hung out more. Bieber looks so uncomfortable, it's palpable. He jokes that Diddy doesn't even have his phone number. But the power imbalance is undeniable. The comment sections are full of people pointing out how wrong this whole dynamic looks, especially knowing what we know now. But here's why these old clips are hitting way different in 2025. They're resurfacing, right alongside the horrifying allegations against Diddy. Court documents now paint a chilling picture of Diddy allegedly organizing drug-fueled sex parties, coercing women and male sex workers into participating, all while cameras were rolling. It's giving Predator vibes and making everyone look back at every moment between Diddy and young stars with suspicion. Then came the plot twist that sent Stan Twitter into overdrive. A May 2025 article from IMDb claimed Bieber had been telling his friends about a nightmare experience with Diddy. The article, while based on anonymous sources, spread like wildfire, sparking even more speculation about what might have actually happened between them. Social media was absolutely on fire, with accounts spinning wild theories about the connection between Bieber and Diddy. But the real tea got even spicier when Suge Knight, yes, Suge Knight, entered the conversation. The former Death Row Records CEO made headlines when he claimed in an interview that Diddy had allegedly molested Bieber and Usher, calling it the saddest thing in the world. Now, let's be real. Suge's credibility is questionable at best, but still, his claims added even more fuel to the fire. Singer Jaguar Wright also joined the fray, suggesting that Usher had served Bieber up to Diddy on a silver platter. Again, these are serious accusations with no real verification, but the internet was eating it up. Even 50 Cent, who's pretty much the king of spilling tea, chimed in, hinting that Bieber had deliberately avoided Diddy. The comments section blew up with true crime YouTubers being tagged left and right, begging them to cover this case. Diddy's past behavior is now being scrutinized with FBI-level detail. People are even revisiting those infamous bougie white parties he threw, with internet sleuths giving them the full true crime documentary treatment. One resurfaced 2002 interview is now being rewatched with major villain origin story vibes, where Diddy casually jokes about the locks on the doors at his parties and rooms with no air conditioning to help people loosen up. The comment sections are absolutely obliterating him. As these videos and allegations continue to spread, the relationship between Bieber and Diddy has become the focal point of intense concern. The resurfaced interactions between a powerful industry mogul and a young star raise questions about power dynamics in the entertainment world that we're only just starting to unpack. As Diddy's legal saga continues to unfold in court, everyone is asking the same question: what's Justin Bieber's actual take on all of this? While Stan Twitter and drama channels are speculating one thing, the real story might be far more complex. Let's check the receipts. Multiple Tier 1 sources have confirmed that Bieber is definitely struggling with the Diddy situation. According to Us Weekly, Bieber is in a tough spot mentally over the allegations against Diddy. His inner circle is advising him to stay far away from the entire mess. This situation is giving serious processing trauma in private vibes, not the public spectacle some are trying to make it out to be. Sources close to Justin Bieber have shared that he's deeply disgusted by the allegations against Diddy. In fact, he's made it clear that his former mentor is basically on permanent block. Bieber's response, however, seems more about quietly distancing himself than making any public statements. It's the kind of quiet self-protection that speaks volumes. But timing also matters here. Bieber is in his dad era now. He and wife Hailey Bieber recently welcomed baby Jack. Insiders have revealed that his newfound fatherhood is helping buffer some of the anxiety surrounding Diddy's case. He's focusing on his wholesome family life rather than inserting himself into what is quickly turning into the most scandalous music industry drama since R. Kelly. That said, the weight of the situation is definitely taking a toll. Some sources are claiming that the stress from Diddy's case might be exacerbating Bieber's existing health issues, including his Ramsay Hunt syndrome. So, while Bieber isn't posting reaction videos or doing interviews about Diddy, it's clear he's impacted by it all, just not in the way the public is expecting. To really understand why Bieber might be struggling with this situation, we need to rewind and look at the beginning of his relationship with Diddy, back when Bieber was still in his awkward teenage phase, braces and all. The origin story of Bieber is well known by now. Discovered by Scooter Braun at just 14 years old in 2008, signed under Usher's mentorship, and quickly thrust into the world of music's biggest names. It was Usher who first introduced the young Bieber to Diddy, solidifying a mentor-mentee dynamic during Bieber's most formative years, right when he was experiencing his first taste of fame and still probably getting tucked into bed by 9 p.m. This relationship wasn't some fleeting moment for a photo op either. Bieber was showing up at Diddy's parties by the time he was 19, attending a big bash in Atlanta in February 2014, and even making an appearance at Justin Combs' 21st birthday party in 2015. Their professional collaboration hit its peak when Bieber featured on moments from Diddy's 2023 album, The Love Album, Off the Grid. Bieber even called the collaboration a full circle moment, reflecting on how he used to pitch songs to Diddy when he was just 14. Major yikes in hindsight. Now, insiders are claiming Bieber totally regrets the association and wishes he could unpost those old Instagram pictures of them together. But let's talk about that infamous 48 hours video that keeps popping up on everyone's FYP. The title suggests that Bieber was basically kidnapped by Diddy for an entire weekend. However, Diddy's former bodyguard has come forward with receipts, revealing that the video was just a short promotional skit, maybe 1 or 2 hours, max, not an actual 48-hour hangout. A Reddit user also did some serious detective work, digging up video evidence showing Bieber hanging out with his actual friends during that so-called 48 hours. This is why context really matters. The TikTok conspiracy theories surrounding Bieber and Diddy often ignore these clarifications, which completely change the narrative. While the relationship between Bieber and Diddy was certainly complicated, many of the claims floating around seem more fiction than fact. Now, Bieber's silence on the matter is particularly telling. Despite trending hashtags begging him to spill the tea, he hasn't posted a single word about Diddy's arrest or the allegations. His silence speaks volumes. This feels like a deliberate move to stay out of Diddy's legal mess, probably advice from his PR team and therapist. The power dynamics in those old videos are, of course, giving serious side-eye. In that 2010 clip where Diddy gives Bieber a bad boy jacket, you can literally see how uncomfortable Bieber is. It hits different now that we're all aware of how powerful industry figures might exploit their influence over young stars. The same goes for the 2011 Jimmy Kimmel appearance where Diddy warns Bieber not to discuss their activities publicly. What seemed like playful banter back then now screams red flag energy, especially in light of Diddy's arrest. Social media, of course, has played a huge role in amplifying these claims. The nature of platforms like TikTok and YouTube rewards sensational content, which allows unverified rumors to spread like wildfire. A perfect example of this is the circulation of a fake AI-generated song, Lost Myself at a Diddy Party, falsely attributed to Bieber. This only fueled speculation about his experiences with Diddy. But here's what we do know for sure. Bieber seems to be deliberately distancing himself from Diddy, focusing on his new life as a dad. Reports continue to show that Bieber is visibly disturbed by the allegations against Diddy. His team has reportedly advised him to keep a strict no-contact policy with his former mentor, implying that Bieber's processing some heavy emotions, privately, without turning them into a public spectacle. Some have even raised valid concerns about the adults in Bieber's early career, with one former Playboy model calling out his parents for essentially being MIA during his formative years in the industry. This lack of parental supervision, she suggests, left Bieber vulnerable to potential predators. Bieber himself has spoken openly about how his rise to fame as a literal child shaped his mental health, and how a lack of proper guidance left him exposed to dangerous dynamics in the industry. In a 2020 interview, he reflected on the chaotic experience of becoming famous so young, sharing an iconic metaphor about how he lacked boundaries in his early career. While he didn't directly mention his relationship with Diddy, his comments provide major context for why Bieber may have been vulnerable during the period when their paths crossed. Bieber has been transparent about his healing journey, speaking candidly about how his faith has helped him process his trauma and build a healthier life. It's likely that this healing process explains why Bieber seems so hesitant to revisit, potentially triggering parts of his past, like his relationship with Diddy. His priority now is clearly about protecting his peace and focusing on building a healthy family life, not being the center of a high-profile scandal. To understand why the Justin Bieber-Diddy situation is hitting so hard for so many people, we need to zoom out and look at the absolute dumpster fire that is Diddy's current legal situation. The allegations against him go way beyond those awkward videos with Bieber. What's happening here could become the biggest scandal in the music industry since R. Kelly Sean Diddy Combs is basically fighting for his freedom right now. Arrested in September 2024, he's facing multiple counts, including racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud and coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution. If the jury buys what the prosecution is selling, Diddy could face life in prison with a mandatory 15 years for the sex trafficking charges alone. The indictment, dropped in September 2024, is painting a terrifying picture of Diddy as the mastermind of a criminal enterprise, accused of running a sex trafficking ring, racketeering, kidnapping, forced labor, bribery, arson, and obstruction of justice. These are serious federal charges detailing systematic abuse that allegedly spans decades. The most chilling details focus on the so-called freak-offs, which are being described by court documents as drug-fueled sex parties orchestrated by Diddy, involving coerced sexual activities with both female victims and male sex workers. These events were allegedly recorded for Diddy's personal collection. As the trial continues to unfold, it's becoming clear this isn't just a moment of cancel culture. This is an ongoing legal nightmare with ramifications that go far beyond anything we've seen in the music industry in a long time. Wow, this narrative you've laid out is filled with so much behind-the-scenes drama that it's almost like an unfolding soap opera, but one with some very real and heavy consequences for those involved. The Bieber-Diddy situation has all kinds of layers. It's both a personal journey for Justin and a larger reflection of the music industry's dark underbelly. What stands out the most is how Justin has evolved, especially now that he's a dad, and really seems to be prioritizing his family life and mental health over the chaos of the industry. It's interesting how he's choosing silence instead of being swept into the drama that surrounds Diddy's legal battle. Considering everything Justin's gone through, particularly when he was a young star, it makes sense that he might want to keep a low profile and focus on building something more stable and positive. And the resurfaced videos of his relationship with Diddy? Yikes. Those power imbalances, especially when Justin was so young, seem to have hit differently now that we're more aware of exploitation within the industry. It's unsettling to think about how vulnerable young stars like Bieber were when they entered that world, often without the support they needed. As for Selena and Justin, Yolena, their on-and-off saga continues to captivate. From the intense chemistry to the emotional chaos, it's clear there was something deep and genuine between them, but also undeniably toxic. Watching them navigate their fame, personal struggles, and everything in between was a roller coaster for fans and the media. It's crazy to think how much of their relationship drama was played out on social media and in the tabloids, and now we're looking back at it with 2025 clarity, understanding the emotional toll it took on both of them. The way both of them have moved forward, Justin with his healing and family focus and Selena with her own personal growth, shows that while the past was messy, they've both grown a lot since then. But the real tea comes from the friends in their circles, right? The way Taylor Swift and others reacted during certain moments definitely adds to the drama. You can tell how much their inner circles were invested in them, but also how much concern there was for their emotional well-being. I'm curious, what do you think of the way the public views Justin and Selena now? Is the nostalgia for their relationship just a reflection of how we saw them grow up in the spotlight, or is there still more to the story that might come out? It really sounds like the Justin-Selena saga had all the drama of a soap opera, but with the added layer of intense public scrutiny and social media creating this circus around their personal lives. You're right about the Wild West nature of social media during this era, especially platforms like X, formerly Twitter, and Instagram, where fans and sources would throw around theories, accusations, and wild speculations, almost like they were part of the inner circle. The fact that even major figures like Taylor Swift had their names involved in this drama, with fans claiming she confirmed Justin's infidelity, shows just how wild things got. At the end of the day, it was like everyone, except maybe Justin, and Selena themselves had an opinion on what was going on. The way the Team Justin versus Team Selena wars played out on X and Reddit is fascinating. It felt like there were clear sides, but also a ton of nuance. Like you have fans defending Justin's frustration with the paparazzi, arguing that he had every right to be upset, especially after years of being stalked by cameras, while others were more sympathetic to Selena's emotional struggles. It's so crazy how fans essentially became the unofficial therapists for both sides, diagnosing everything from emotional abuse to immature behavior. Everyone had a theory, but the real question was, who was actually right? But the real tea comes from those behind-the-scenes moments, right? The tension within their friend groups was palpable. Demi Lovato and Francia Raisa's frustration with Justin's influence on Selena, and Taylor's anti-Bieber agenda, especially given how much Taylor seemed to be watching out for Selena's emotional well-being, shows just how deeply this relationship affected not just the couple, but their closest friends. Their concern, though, wasn't just rooted in jealousy or being overly protective. It was because they could see the unhealthy dynamic at play, even when Selena couldn't or didn't want to see it herself. That's the tricky thing about love, especially young, public love. You can't always tell if you're in too deep, even when everyone around you is raising red flags. And the fact that Selena's lupus treatment got mixed up with substance abuse rumors just adds another level of complexity. It was already hard enough to manage the intense spotlight on her personal life, but when her health issues became public, it just gave more fodder to the gossip mill. And it's not like Justin was without his own demons to face during this time. He admitted later that he had a lot of anger issues and made plenty of mistakes. This kind of self-awareness comes after the fact, though, and at the time, it just made the situation even messier. Justin's 2019 interview and more recent reflections on his own behavior show growth, but, as you pointed out, by the time he was figuring himself out, the relationship had already taken a huge toll. Now, in 2025, he's trying to do the healing thing, posting about wanting to grow and not reacting impulsively. That's major self-reflection, but it also serves as a reminder of how complicated it all was during their relationship years. What's fascinating now, though, is looking at how these fans are still dissecting the old narratives in 2025. It's almost like they're still playing out the drama in a way, making sense of all the highs and lows. The fact that fans on X are still fiercely defending both sides of the equation just shows how this saga became such an integral part of pop culture. Everyone has their own take, and honestly, it seems like the whole Yolena story will live on in the annals of celebrity history for a long time. So, with all the emotional whiplash and public involvement, do you think both Justin and Selena will ever be fully able to break free of the past? Or is there something about their connection that will always draw people back into the story, especially when they drop new music or significant life updates? The way Justin and Selena's relationship played out in the public eye is honestly wild. It's like they were both living in different realities. Justin with his purpose era, and Selena with her emotional roller coaster that she turned into a hauntingly beautiful track like The Heart Wants What It Wants. Their music, especially, during those years was the best reflection of what was happening behind the scenes. It was like a cryptic diary entry for the world to decode, but those close to them were definitely in the know. That 2019 Instagram post where Justin admitted he'd always have love for Selena, like family, not romantically, really threw the media and fans for a loop. It wasn't an "I still love her" confession, but it wasn't a cold "we're done" either. It left a lot of room for interpretation. Was he just giving her the family love because they shared a history? Or was there's still something deeper there? That's the kind of statement that makes everyone around them feel uncertain about where they really stood. The Instagram drama in 2016 is so telling of how unresolved everything was. Justin's little public meltdown over the hate Sophia Richie was getting, and Selena's savage comment telling him to stop posting if he couldn't handle the hate. Yikes. That was such a messy moment where old wounds were opened in the public eye. Justin's clapback about her using him for clout also revealed just how much anger and unresolved tension was simmering beneath the surface. Even though they were both moving on with new people, Hailey Baldwin for Justin and Zed for Selena, that fight was a sign that the emotional baggage was far from being unpacked. And then, after all of that, they reconnected in late 2017. I honestly don't know if I would have believed it if someone told me they'd come back together for a fresh start after everything they'd been through. But Selena's kidney transplant and Justin's church boy era seemed like the perfect setting for them to reconcile in the public eye. I'm sure their friends had all the notifications on mute because they saw this plotline play out before. The fact that it ended so quickly in early 2018, just a few months before Justin's whirlwind engagement to Hailey Baldwin, really was a shock. Like they'd just been riding bikes around LA, looking like the perfect couple, and then, boom, that. Sudden shift from the Jelena cycle to Jelena, Hailey, was like a cultural reset. Justin's engagement to Hailey in July and marriage by September made everyone around them think, what did we just witness? The fact that Selena's inner circle seemed relieved was such a raw detail. They'd seen her struggle for so long, fighting this toxic back and forth with Justin, and now it seemed like Selena was finally free. But the fans were in chaos mode, trying to piece everything together and wonder if there was a chance for a final reconciliation. Selena's Lose You to Love Me in 2019 felt like the ultimate farewell to that chapter. And Taylor Swift's Instagram shoutout made it feel like she was openly celebrating Selena's strength, even if it wasn't directly about Justin. Taylor was the ultimate bestie in that moment, marking the end of a chapter where she had probably been silently cheering for Selena to finally prioritize her own growth. And Francia Raisa, who gave Selena a kidney and always had her back, seemed to send a not-so-subtle message when she said Selena was stronger than ever in 2018. Francia's support for Selena's post-Bieber evolution felt like a quiet victory lap for her too. Meanwhile, on Justin's side, the vibe shift was palpable. His friends were fully on the Hailey train, seeing her as the stability he needed. After all the chaos and self-destructive behaviors during his years with Selena, Hailey seemed like the answer to the growing maturity that Justin needed in his life. His crew's support for his relationship with Hailey was also a telling contrast to the tension that his friends felt about Selena. Even though they both seem to have moved on, there's still so much baggage. Selena's squad was cheering for her, while Justin's friends were all about Hailey. You can almost feel the division even now, years later, with fans analyzing everything they post, every song they drop, and every public appearance. What do you think? Does Selena's music post-Bieber, like Lose You to Love Me, still carry that final farewell energy? Or is there a part of her that still looks back on the Jelena years with a different perspective now that time has passed? And for Justin, is the Hailey marriage just the next chapter in his evolution, or do you think there's still unresolved Jelena energy lurking in his personal growth story? This whole saga is insane. So much complexity, so many layers, and it's wild to see how things have evolved. The way Selena and Justin's inner circles have processed their relationship and its aftermath really says a lot about the emotional roller coaster they were all on. Selena's candid discussion in the 2020 NPR interview about emotional abuse during her time with Justin was huge. Fans, and probably a lot of their friends, were blindsided by it. But in hindsight, it really does make sense. Their relationship was so heavily scrutinized that it was hard to get a true glimpse into the damage it was causing, even for the people closest to them. It's also clear that Selena's friends were incredibly protective of her, especially when it came to Justin and his behavior. The fact that 85% of her fan base reportedly feels relief that she's no longer with him speaks volumes. And it's not just about moving on from the past, it's about how Selena's squad saw her finally stepping into her own strength, prioritizing herself and evolving. They definitely saw Justin as a major obstacle in her growth, and their frustration with him didn't just fade when she moved on. They were still quietly shading him and making it clear they were glad she'd moved beyond that toxic chapter. On Justin's side, the fact that Haley grounds him in ways Selena never could highlights a real difference in how they were both navigating their relationships. If we believe those sources, it suggests that Justin might have been emotionally unavailable or even self-destructive in ways that Selena couldn't help him with, even though they shared so much history. Haley's stability is something that, clearly, Justin needed to move forward and grow in a healthier direction. That's what makes Justin's Instagram post in 2019, where he acknowledged that he loved Selena while affirming his commitment to Haley, so complicated. That statement was a clear admission of the depth of his past feelings for Selena, but it also showed where his heart was now. The phrasing, loved versus love, was a subtle but powerful choice. It raised so many questions for fans and insiders. Does he still have lingering feelings for Selena, or was he simply acknowledging a past chapter in his life? In 2023, when Selena defended Haley against toxic fan behavior on TikTok, it was a huge moment of growth. Fans were shook because it signaled that Selena had genuinely moved past the drama and was ready to defend her ex's wife, which seemed almost impossible during their relationship. That was such a public sign of maturity, and if I were a fly on the wall in Selena's inner circle, I would bet her friends were cheering her on, watching her evolve from the heartbroken ex into a woman who was standing up for the people around her, regardless of the past. And as for Justin, his fatherhood journey has completely changed the narrative around him. The way his mentor Usher spoke about his growth, particularly around becoming a father, gives us insight into how much Justin has grown. It seems like fatherhood has become a central part of his redemption story, shifting away from the bad boy image that defined so much of his early career. Despite all the strides they've made, the Jelena conspiracy theories still live on. Reddit users are dissecting Taylor Swift's music, especially after Question dropped, wondering if it's about Justin. It's crazy how their fans are still trying to piece together hidden meanings, even when both Selena and Justin are in very different chapters of their lives now. With Selena's engagement to Benny Blanco in 2024 and Justin's solid life with Haley and baby Jack, it really does feel like they've both settled into a better space. Even if they don't openly discuss lingering feelings, their friends seem to acknowledge that they've each grown and moved on. The saga is no longer about them fighting for each other's affection. It's more about how their growth journeys have shaped who they are today. Selena's music in 2025, particularly her track How Does It Feel to Be Forgotten, and the bitter edge in her lyrics definitely stirs the pot when it comes to Jelena fans. But given her engagement and her ongoing self-development, it's more about reflecting on the past rather than still carrying a torch for it. What do you think? Do you feel like there's still some lingering nostalgia in their friendship dynamics? Or is it truly over, with both of them embracing their separate paths fully? It's wild to think how much the media and fans are still holding on to their old relationship, even when both of them seem to have stepped into new roles in life. Justin as a husband and father, and Selena as a thriving advocate and soon-to-be wife again.